Welcome to My Wild Magic with me, your host, Adrienne Cobb. Join me on a journey back home to your truest self in this inspiring, enlightening, and entertaining show. After a near-death experience in a car crash at 15 years old, I made a choice to stay and brought back with me 3 simple truths that I found from the other side. Love is all there is. Our time is over here quicker than we think, and we all have a purpose, a soul blueprint to fulfill. On this show, you will find a higher purpose, a creative expression, and unique soul attributes that you can bring forth into this world. Stay tuned with me for the next hour and find your higher purpose on. Welcome. I am Adrienne Cobb, and you're listening to My Wild Magic with Adrienne on Transformation Talk Radio. Today we have with us Jennifer, and she is going to be talking us through a company that she found. So again, it's Jennifer Andrews, and she is the founder of Treppy. It's a for-profit online organization or company that is geared for empowering girls through entrepreneurship, which is such an amazing idea, I think. So Treppy specifically looks at the world through the lens of how it feels to identify as feminine in a business world largely constructed by the masculine. So while similar positioned grown-up sites foster creativity, community, commerce, and empowering makers to set their own prices and sell their goods, nothing similar existed for kids, or specifically for girls, which is where Jennifer comes in, bringing in her idea. So the other thing that I really love about it is Treppy is one part education, one part community, one part retailer. And it's an amazing, really what can happen when girl builds confidence through the natural learning curves of owning their own business. Mm-hmm. So Treppy also gives young girls the gift of connecting among their peers. Those who might share similar hopes and dreams, as well as some of the fears that come with taking creative risks. So Jennifer, thank you so much for coming on the show. And so if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came about this idea. It's a pretty amazing idea.
Thanks. Well, I am a Chicago native. I live in Denver. I've been here for almost 17 years. And my background actually got an undergrad and master's degree in speech language pathology. And I have done that, ever since I was graduated at 23. I loved it. It was a great career. I still do a lot of work with it. My husband and I have 2 boys. They're 16 and almost 14 now. And I definitely sensed about 5-6 years ago that I was looking for a change. I was looking for a shift. I'd kind of, dip my toe in the pool of nonprofit and enjoyed a lot of things that came with that, learned a great deal. But it didn't quite, scratch the itch for me. To be honest, I wasn't directly connected to the kids that I was raising money for. And having been in a career where I always directly worked with kids one-on-one or in small groups or something, it just didn't have the feeling of giving back the way I wanted to. I was so used to seeing that direct connection or feeling that direct connection and seeing growth. And so, one day about 5 years ago, I was testing a friend's daughter for something related to speech pathology. And as a thank you, she gave me a little handmade bag. And I was just blown away. I mean, at the time, I think she was 9 or 10. And I was blown away by her ability just to sew, to be honest.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
And the creativity behind this bag. I mean, it had this gorgeous zipper and it had patterns inside and out. She really thought about the function of it. And she came prepared for this whole speech on what I could do with it. And, she was so proud of it. That's what hit home for my heart center. And I just kept saying, you made this. And it just, I just kind of looked at her and said, you should sell these. And she hadn't, really thought of that at that point. The mom had kind of thought about it. So I kind of found some girls around the area and thought, why don't we just have like a holiday bazaar kind of thing? It was near the holiday time. And I thought I could get a few girls around and have a little fun party for them. And being in a house of boys. I welcome the feminine energy whenever I can in here.
Yeah.
And I ended up finding too many girls that were going to bring too many shoppers. And I wasn't able to hold the event in my house. We had to move to a restaurant.
Oh.
And ended up with, 18, 19 girls that came ready to learn to be business owners, and then all the shoppers they brought. And it was that day that I realized, wow, there's something here. There's something here for me. There's something here for them. There's something that I want to connect to with them. And so I just kept having markets every few months. And the numbers of the participants kept growing, and word kept spreading in the Denver area. And I was really having fun with it. And I kind of always had in the back of my head, well, maybe someday I'll take this online, to kind of get, how am I going to get out of the Denver area, to franchise, or to give the idea to other people in other cities, or to fly around the country. At that point, for me, wasn't really an option, having two younger boys. But, I really thought, well, online, somehow I could do this online, but it just hadn't presented itself. And then, as we all know, COVID, happened, and everybody had to pivot a little bit, or a lot. And we shut down our live markets and started building an online e-commerce platform for young girls.
That's so amazing. Yeah. I remember when I was in Chicago and living there for a while, I went to one of the warehouses downtown that did the the art shows and stuff. And I think they did it right around Christmas time. It's pretty famous for what it is.
Yeah.
And it was just so amazing seeing everybody's unique form of art. So, I'm looking at your stuff online, but, I can imagine just doing it live would be so amazing, and meeting the people, meeting the girls that actually are doing it too.
Yes. And that was a big draw for me. I mean, the work for the live markets, the workload of getting to a live market, and all the coordination. And, we would have a training or two before where I would get to work with the girls. Cause again, that's my heart center, meeting and connecting with those girls, and really getting to know them and know what they're, nervous about, and they're insecure about, and they're vulnerable with, and they're confident about, and they're happy about. That to me drove everything. And I really enjoyed that. And the day of the live markets was just as fantastic. And knowing, carrying that feeling and building this platform, I didn't want to lose that. And so part of what we offer at Treppy is mentorship. And we do that when a girl onboards, we do that through a live Zoom call. And, it's usually not just one, it's usually a few, trying to get them to develop their product, think about their pricing, how to determine shipping, how to make a description of their product. So, it entices somebody to buy it. They understand the function of it. And really the work that the girl put into the design and creation of it. That part for me still has that heart center. I think it lets them, while we're on those calls, and even after they've uploaded and opened their storefront, to go back and get on another Zoom call with them and say, hey, this is great. Let's modify it like this. There's lots of opportunity for teachable moments, that a lot of the sites that I've personally sold off of, I shop through all the time, they don't have for girls like this, right? They're very adult centered. Which is great. They have a lot of benefits, but they need some direction. These are kids, and they can do it. These kids can do this. It just takes a little more focus and determination to, on the part of the adults around them.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a great day and age too, to empower young girls, with all that. And then what's the age group that you work with in Treppy?
Usually 6 through, I say 18. At our live markets, we had a few 6-year-olds, they actually stood there and completely sold their products outright.
Wow.
It was amazing to watch. The first one that came, I was, looked at the mom and was like, I think she can do this, and she sat there and she sold snow globes, and she had like 20 made, and she was the first person to sell out of them. I mean, she was darn
Wow.
cute, but
Impressive.
she had a great product. She had a great price point, and really knew how to kind of work her customer. So, so 6
Wow.
through 18 is usually what we service. I haven't yet
18.
onboarded a kid. The platform has just been live for about 4 weeks. And so far my youngest is 9.
I see. Okay. Yeah. And so I highly recommend anybody who's listening to the show, if you're still looking for Christmas presents, go to treppie.com. That's TREPPIE.com, treppie.com. Check out some of what the kids have. We're going to talk a little bit more about the gifts in just a minute. So how do you connect with the kids? Like, it sounds like in your career of doing the language work with them, that gave you were connecting that way, but it sounds like you've got a broader expanse of that now. So how do you come across the young girls now?
Meaning, your question is
How do you find them?
How
Yeah.
do I find them? So we're doing a number of things to onboard girls. We have social platforms that we connect with people, market to see, and put out ads saying, hey, do you know anyone that would like to join? A lot of it is right now, because we're so new still, just kind of kicking up the dirt. We're very grassroots, very homegrown right now still. So I'm really working my contacts here in Denver. I have a lot of contacts in Chicago, Arizona. So I've already been able to expand past the Denver market that I had with the live markets. That's absolutely thrilling to me. It was part of a whole reason why I started it. So, or got online. So it's starting to happen. And I think, I'm certainly giving the girls that have already onboarded incentives to bring on friends, bring them. We have a pop-up this Saturday, December 11th in Colorado at a local mall called Park Meadows Mall. We're partnering with Athleta, who supports our mission, thankfully, as we do theirs. And we're having a little pop-up. Some of the girls are going to be selling their products there from 1 to 4, and hopefully doing community outreach and just really one girl at a time, man. That's
Girl at a time. Okay. So it's just kind of word of mouth then,
word of
basically.
mouth. Yeah. One girl at a time. And
well, I'll tell you what.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to do a shout out to Oprah too, because I honestly, truly think you would be right up her alleyway of her backing that energy. And we got Nike here in Portland. I'd be happy to take your idea over to them. I think
thank you so much. That's
they
great.
do a lot as well. But we're fixing to take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment with Jennifer Andrews and her company Treppie.com. Hey, welcome back. And we have with us today Jen Andrews. She has a company called Treppie.com. I highly recommend going and checking it out, where she is working with young girls and having young girls build their own products and teaching them business skills. And she is building this one child at a time. So if you know somebody who's interested in joining her online platform, some creative youngsters out there, girls anywhere from 6 to 18, check out Treppie.com, have them sign up. And she not only will start representing products and things that they make, but will also help to do mentoring work with them. And during the break, Jen was talking to me a little bit about her childhood and what was being taught to her and what wasn't. So could you just kind of share with the listeners right now, Jen, about how you were sort of raised and encouraged? I mean,
sure. I was saying that it was always very important to my mom, especially, that I had a way to support myself without the help of anybody else, that I had a degree. Education was very important in my family. And I always valued my career. I always valued being able to go out on my own, but we never talked about owning a business. No, my mom was a teacher. My dad was a real estate agent. And they worked very hard, but it was, they really wanted me to find something that I loved, but something that was going to give me security. Yeah. And so I could support myself. And so I think that, for whatever reason, girls back in my mom's age, that were raised with her were teachers, nurses, something along those lines. And business was never really talked about. We never really, I heard a lot about, and I even worked in my dad's real estate office. I heard a lot about that stuff later on in my late teens, early 20s, but it was never really brought up as entrepreneurship. I had, my grandfather, he invented the vertical blinds, which is our claim to fame in my family. So we have
vertical
this,
blinds,
right?
gotta love them. Yeah,
right. Entrepreneurship
exactly.
somewhere in the blood, down the line. But so, I really just, I think today is different. I think there's way more discussion around business ownership and, financial literacy, even for women and for girls. It's not so out of the box anymore that, it feels like, well, of course, but the access to it is different for everybody. And I do believe for girls, I just don't know that, you get on a lot of social media and things that are marketed have nothing to do with owning a business by yourself, a lot of it, right, to the young girls. So I really, I think you hear in the news a lot too now about the mental health of girls being online. And I was very concerned about that. Here I was opening up something where girls were going to be vulnerable, not just.
Yeah. I did wonder about that. I looked at your website and I was scrolling through it and I noticed, like, part of me really did want to see, and Jacob, I don't know if you can bring these up or not, but on her website, there's one that does portraits of animals. Portraits of your animals. They were so beautifully done.
Oh my gosh, she is so talented.
And so about her, I mean, that was really beautiful. And then another person does bracelets, little love bracelets, things like that. And then somebody else did dream catchers.
Yeah.
So that was great. And so, but because they were young people and I'm super inspired by you, there's a part of me that did want to see the girl or a video or something to be able to connect. But then on the other hand, I thought, well, that could also put them in a vulnerable position as well. So I had mixed feelings about it, but I really wanted to connect to them because that's what the whole thing, so tell.
And so we really tried to design it so that, their privacy was really first and foremost, of concern. I did a lot of legal research. I had a great legal team that I worked with. And I really wanted to feel good about what I was putting out there and that I was not endangering them in any way. So there's a lot of things we do with that. For one, like you said, you don't see a picture of them up there. The parents go and sign consents. The girls, when they get online, or the parents, whoever signs them up, can only fill out so much. And they can fill out their name, they can fill out their email, their phone number, and then they're taken to a parent consent that the parent has to sign. And then that's sent to me. And then also they have to check terms and conditions.
We have on with us today, Jen Andrews, and we are looking at Treppy.com, a for-profit company that she's created for young girls ages 6 to 18 to be able to bring their products, any of their creative expressions and products, to the market online. She also does live pop-up art shows around the Denver area, it sounds like. And she is looking for young girls who maybe want to participate. So if you know anybody who's interested, ages 6 to 18, who's super creative and would like to get some mentoring and entrepreneurship and bring their products to life, go to Treppie.com, Treppie.com, and you can connect with Jen and sign up. I think it's pretty easy to sign up on your site.
It is easy. So the front page has a join here button. I think an important thing to learn about when you do sign up for anything, there's I know so much more about websites now, is the FAQs. So most websites should have not just terms and conditions, a lot of FAQs that are kind of the bullet points, and they're, pretty concise. We made them pretty concise. They give a lot of information for the owner. We call them business owners at Treppy, and for the shoppers as well. So, but yeah, joining is very easy. I was saying earlier that the girls' privacy is really important to us.
Yeah.
And that when they do sign up, parents are involved in terms of they would sign a permission form
Yeah,
online.
that was my next question, is how are the
Yep.
parents interact with all this too?
Yeah, so the parents have to obviously kind of buy into this, right, and give support. It's a team effort, it's community, takes a village, right? So we are, careful with them, and we're careful with the girls' privacy. So the parents get involved in signing that permission form. They go through the terms and conditions. And then at that point, they kind of sign up for a mentor meeting with me on Zoom. And once I check that they've kind of gone through all the right steps and we meet on Zoom, really, I'm the only one. That's the first time I meet the girl. The parents sometimes are with them on the video, and sometimes not. Most girls that I'm meeting are actually very well versed in kind of some of this stuff. Some have never sold, but have designed products. So when they open their storefront, some of the privacy things that we keep in mind is that we don't show their faces in the pictures. We don't let them use, their names, Annie's, alphabet clothing store. We don't let them do anything like that, because we really want the focus to be on their product and their creativity and their spirit. And also with an eye on privacy. There's a lot of information is just, a drop in the bucket, a dime a dozen. Things are, it's really scary as a mom of 2 kids. My boys are teenagers, and, things happen. It's very scary for me. So I was really careful in planning this website with my legal team, and a lot of education throughout the process. So they come up with a logo and a storefront name that has nothing to do with that, their own personal identity. I encourage the girls to get an email address that reflects their store. So one of our storefronts is Lulu's Lip Balm, and her name is not Lulu. But so her Gmail would be something, for example, lululipbalm@gmail.com, right? That's not it, but it is something to the extent.
Yeah, no, super
right?
protective. Gosh, you have really thought this out. Like, that's very admirable. I can just really appreciate that, how much you're taking care of them, and just what a great steward you're being of this, and how responsible you're being, because so many people aren't, or people just come at it not really thinking through just the myriad of kind of nightmare situations that can go on. It seems like you're hyper aware of it, doing an amazing job to protect their highest well-being on multiple levels, teaching them business, mentoring them. I'd imagine there's also at times, do you find, particularly with your history of kind of doing sort of some therapeutic work with young girls, that you find that sometimes the mentoring can sometimes go into more, kind of coaching or counseling with them on a more personal level as well, just because life happens?
Yeah, we get into conversations for sure. These are busy kids, and they're coming off. It's an odd time, right? It's things, we had this, whatever, the normal life pre-COVID, then COVID hit, and they were stuck at home, couldn't be with their friends, online schooling, the whole bit. And now we've come off, and it doesn't feel like 100 miles an hour. It feels like 1,000 miles an hour, but I'm not sure if that's because we were used to this slowdown, and now we're just back to whatever we were before. But there is an intensity that I'm noticing in the girls' lives, scheduling, and almost I'm almost seeing us go the other way, where we're over committing again, right? They've got plays, and they've got family things, school, sports. They're doing that, and it's wonderful. that everybody's taking a bite out of life again.
Yeah, right.
It's wonderful. And I can see some of it is, I never want this endeavor of theirs with Treppy to be a stressor. I want it to be an additive. I want them to be able to learn from it and grow and not feel overwhelmed. So that's part of what I'm trying to do with them on these Zoom calls, and trying to, some of them are saying, well, what if I sell, X number, I don't know if I can make this, amount. And, the girls are given 30 days from the day they shop or orders to the day it's delivered at their house. There's a 30-day window that we grace them because they're children, and because right, they have a million other things. They're busier than most adults. And it's a handmade good. And sometimes things like that just take a while, and we've got this supply chain issue now going on, where you have to go out and get their supplies to make their products. Well, they're not so easily purchased anymore, right? As readily, so readily available. So we're just, we're bumping into things, and we feel like we're all a little bit in a pinball machine, and we're bumping there and going back, and we're just rolling with it, right? So
yeah. And then, so right now you're mostly working with people, young girls in the U.S.
Correct.
Are you open to working internationally? Like, is that
oh
one of
man,
your goals?
that would be that's like no, that's the pipe dream, right? I mean,
oh my gosh, I got more connections for you. Like, my mind's just like
going.
I got another international school teacher who has international school. She's taught all over the world and has amazing connections. And she works mostly with either the middle school or the high school kids. And she just has amazing, very
awesome.
Cool.
So right now our site is designed that it's just to be sold within the continental US, just because I couldn't even, when we started this, I couldn't even imagine building this system that was going to work outside of Denver, let alone to go to Chicago or to Arizona, or then cross the pond, right? It was something my pipe dream is, yes, this could be a worldwide thing, right? And
go big.
That's where we're headed. I mean, there's so many girls out there that I would love to, just support in however we can with whatever they want to learn.
Mm-hmm. And, so what kind of art are you looking for? Like, if somebody was out there listening and they had a young person, I mean, I didn't notice that you really took on musicians or that kind of thing, music. It was mostly products. So what are you looking for in a young person?
So there's a few ideas for musical stuff, actually, that somebody, a person that I worked with on to build Treppy, she actually helped us write some verbiage for it. She was at a outdoor market while we were working together last year, and she had come across a young, like 13-year-old who was musically gifted, and for $10, or something like that, he said, give me your name, tell me a few things about yourself, and I'm going to write you a song. And she laughed and came back, and he had written sheet music to a song, right? And it blew her mind. And I was like, this is the kind of talent that is out there, that is just waiting to be, it needs a platform somehow, it needs a voice, it needs, and it was cool. So there's lots of ways, even if it's not something that is like a tangible, like like a dream catcher or lip balm or a bracelet, right? Those are all wonderful things, but really out of the box thinking can come easily from people's passions and ways to sell it, ways to become a business owner using that talent.
Yeah. And I think that this day and age also, just with the whole work industry, workforce, where we're moving at, sort of in that new earth energy, the new world energy, that entrepreneurism and really bringing your heart to the table of whatever you want to create is right on line with the whole, that ascension timeline, new earth energy, versus just, necessarily working for somebody, or the way maybe things have been in the old world paradigm. I think that you're really kind of like, this is the show that we're on today is the Indigo Soul Tribe energy, but your energy shows up kind of like a rainbow child. And so you do have the indigo energy to you, but there's branches of it depending on kind of when you came in and stuff. But your energy keeps showing up like the rainbow child, and the one that actually kind of is like a rainbow bridge from other worlds, and helping us move through this timeline. So it's almost like you're doing exactly what your higher indigo kind of enlightened self came to do, is to make this bridge and to really help the new generation coming in to be on time with this new earth energy, new world energy, and learning their lessons through joy and feeling empowered.
Yes. And when I used to have the live markets and we did the trainings, that was what I would say to them all the time. We would talk about how, if you don't, a lot of girls don't know what they want to design yet. And that's part of the onboarding, are just some sessions like, hey, let's just talk about some things you're interested in. Right. And coming up, brainstorming, coming up with those ideas, and really just letting them feel vulnerable in that creation.
So really then, if I'm hearing you correctly, then you're saying that if you had a young girl anywhere from 6 to 18 that was interested in participating with Treppy.com, they don't necessarily even have to have a product that they have created, that they've already been sitting over here huddling in their house making. They could actually come to you just because, like, I want entrepreneurism, I want the mentorship, and I'm willing to apply myself and come up with something I would love doing, but they don't even have to have a product. That is okay. I didn't kind of catch it. That's awesome. So it's really the desire of the young person coming to you, willing to develop themselves.
Yes. And the word that you said before was joy. And that's what I want to evoke, right? I want them to be excited and feel joy in that creation. So, that's, we used to do a little kind of activity when we would get together as a group live, and we would have almost like a plus sign, and here would be one interest and here would be another interest. Let's say the girl's a gymnast and she likes hair accessories or something, right? Well, you put those together, where does it intersect, right? These are two things you love to do. What is this point of intersection here? How could we make a product? So those are the kinds of things that I walk them through. And a lot of times it doesn't take a lot to pull that out of them. They kind of already know, they just haven't, no one's told them they could, or they just never, kind of like how when I was a kid, I never thought that I could, or that I should, or how to, or there just was no playbook for it. Right. So that's what I want to help them with.
Yeah, I mean, that is such a great way of bringing people, anybody who's listening, actually, just even a starting point is that intersection of two things that you love, bring them together. And how does that create a magical third option? You know what I mean? Like that magical third thing that brings joy. And that is a big part of the new earth energy, is learning your life lessons with joy, being in harmony, being, making, compatible life choices for yourself. You're not selling out. So you're right on track. And it feels like you yourself probably have had a lot of lifetimes building up a ton of wisdom. It seems like you just have a lot of wisdom in your energy field to be able to be of service and to help young girls with that.
Thanks. I'm growing with them. So
you're growing with them. Yes.
They help me every day. So yeah.
So with the products, then you kind of mentioned music. So what directions could it go in?
Products can be, there's very little you can't do. We don't do food items or anything edible, because you legally, you have to have a licensed kitchen to be able to sell that. So, there's certain things, any kind of weapons, I'm not going to let you sell. I mean, there's just little basic things, but really there's not much you can't come up with. So as long as it's a handmade product, even, I had a girl recently that, we're kind of in the middle of brainstorming with her mom, to see if it's something she wants to do. If Treppy is something she wants to join, but she likes the idea of recycled things. And at first she was just, I just want to, buy from here and sell here. And I said, I think you should, if that's what your joy is, please, but that's not necessarily what we are. There's no value add to that how can we take this item that you bought for $1, the gloves, say you cut off the fingertips, right? Now you've got fingerless gloves, and you can maybe add studs to them and sell them online for $8, right? It's something that, start with something used, right? I love that. Make it your own and put it out there,
Perfect. Yeah.
there's just, it's endless possibilities, and it doesn't have to take a lot of money to start up. It doesn't have to take a ton of time. And again, as long as you feel good and you feel joy in what you're doing and pride, I think that,
Well,
mission
so
accomplished.
I had a nonprofit for a while, and one of the things I
Yeah,
was thinking about it with young people was I did not get it off the ground though, because the work that I do doing sessions kind of took up all my time. But it was basically, it was divided up into, and this is what I'm asking you, is
sure,
that one is like the kids, because some kids are very audible, so it's music. You mentioned you would be interested in
sure,
picking up some kids that had music, that maybe had CDs or music or some kind of skill. There's
sure.
obviously products, things that you can make like that. Another one that I was thinking of is people who are very visual. Photography. Photography is another really
Amazing.
good one that people could
Yes.
sell. But there was like the audible music, the visual, the photography type things, people who communicate from their soul on that level, making things. And the other one was like poetry, writing, like young people who
Amazing.
really like to write.
Oh, I value that to no extent.
And
Yes.
like it was 4 different areas
Yeah,
of creativity, and so is that something that sounds like you are open to any of those as somebody comes forward that has those skills? I'm just sort of broadening the
absolutely.
spectrum for anybody who might be listening.
Absolutely. Any means of creativity, whatever it is that flows through you from an energy standpoint in that way that you create, is welcome. And we're happy to help. We're happy to help, with the design. We're happy to help with pricing. We're happy to help with descriptions. I mean, anything to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
But first
Yeah.
and foremost, it's got to mean something to you.
That's perfect. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. And we're back with this awesome conversation with Jen Andrews in just a moment. Welcome back. I am Adrienne Cobb. You're on with My Wild Magic with Adrienne. And today on the show, we have Jen Andrews and her for-profit company for young girls called Treppie.com. That's Treppie.com. So Jen, one of the things I also wanted to talk to you about is just, diversity with the group that you work with, and how does that look, or how open with you are with some of that?
So, that was a question that honestly took me a long time to answer. I'm not going to lie, because I feel joy out of feminine energy, and a connection. And at the time I started this 5 years ago, it was, or rather, I'm sorry, in 2018, it was all, it was girls that I found, and it wasn't even a thought. I just assumed, right? But when I started looking for kind of more of that male entity to get involved, there wasn't a ton of it. And from this standpoint that I could find locally. So I kind of just kept running with this feminine kind of side to it. And, to be honest, we all know that, again, like we said earlier in the show, women are coming in full-fledged in terms of entrepreneurship now. It's a big push. And I really wanted to support that and continue on that. I wanted to ride that wave with it. I was new to the journey as well. So I wanted to kind of bring all these girls with me. It was, a journey I wanted to take together. That being said, our mission is just to support female entrepreneurialism. So anyone that supports that mission, I welcome on our platform, whether you're going to be a seller, whether you're going to be a shopper. Obviously, we welcome all. I'm a therapist at heart. I'm right. So I don't turn anyone away. As long as you support our mission, we support you. And we're happy to help in any way we can.
Well, and then one of the things you had said when I was talking to you before the call is that you also had somebody who was kind of in transition,
Yeah.
with the trans and stuff. So, because that would
Yeah.
also be some diversity that,
Hands down,
you know,
hands down. He did not initially identify one way or the other. We actually communicated over, it didn't even occur to me to tell you the truth. We were just talking about the products, and I had bought the products from their store front, and they were wonderful products. And when we were about to launch, I said, I'd love for you to come sell with me. And he said, well, I don't identify as female. And I said, that's fine. I said, you agree with our mission that that's what we would like. This is for female entrepreneurialism. But if you support us, we support you. This is how mainstream happens, right? To me,
yeah.
this is, I have a mission. I have these girls on board, and it's, there's a lot in me in here, right? In terms of that feminine spirit, but I also would never exclude anyone. And so that's how I want to run my business. That person is considering joining with us, and I hope that, someday he feels comfortable with that. I think he kind of wanted to see what the platform was going to be like first, because he does very well on his own, but we'll see.
And then with the shopper experience, what is that like? Like somebody coming in on that end? Yeah, tell me a little bit about the shoppers.
So for our shoppers, I mean, it's just like any other website in terms of you come in and, products are on the front page, right? We're going to show you what's new. We're going to show you what's featured. We're going to show you what sells best. We're going to show you why you might need it, unique products. There's a big push to buy local. There's a big push to buy artisan. There's a big push to, have things that come from someone else's hands, right? And these goods are easy to gift people. Every single thing on the site you could give for a birthday gift, you could give for anniversary, they could just be for yourself. Everything that's created here is created with someone else's soul, that's how I feel. So these are just perfect gifts,
Well,
perfect things to buy for any occasion.
And a lot of young people are, wanting to give gifts, I mean, in a lot of ways too. And I noticed that a lot of the gifts on your site could also be for young people wanting to buy gifts for their friends too, that were
Yeah. And the price points, vary product. We have things selling from, $95, soon to be $150 to, down to $6, right? So there's going to be something for everyone. The more girls we get on board to sell with us that become storefront owners, the more expansive, choices you'll have as a shopper. So, it's what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? I got to get these girls on. And then once I got, 3, 4 on, I was like, okay, now people have to start to buy, so there's a lot of momentum on both ends that we're trying to get together. So we'll take it all. We'll take all the energy.
That is great. I love it. Yeah. So is there anything, if people wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Probably through the website, or I can be reached by my personal email, Jennifer, JENNIFER @treppy.com as well.
And is TREIE?
Treppy
is TRE.
Correct. TREPPIE. And the name comes from obviously an entrepreneur.
Okay, that is exactly what my last question was actually, I did see on your website, it speaks a little bit about, because I was like, where did she get the word Treppy from? So tell me a little bit about what that word means.
Treppy comes from the middle, entrepreneur. That was one of the hardest things I did as a new business owner, was to come up with a name that had an available website that could be trademarked, that had meant something for what my purpose was, right? It really was a hard thing to accomplish, but I was beyond lucky enough to meet a fabulous graphic designer and brand ambassador, really, who just has been my knight in shining armor and helped me through that whole process. And I just could not be more thrilled with how it turned out. So,
well, and so I'm curious, like I've never heard the word before. I'm big into entrepreneurism. So have you it's kind of trademarked, even the word itself could actually, not only is your business seem like it's very successful, but it seems like even that word could become.
We're using it in many ways. And here's where my language background comes in. We're using it as verbs. And on the website, you'll see like kind of a little glossary to Trepp, right? Kind of to create from your soul. We're just kind of coming up with verbs. We're using them as nouns. Our Treppies are the girls that are storefront owners, Treppy shoppers. So there's lots of terminology that, and throughout the site that is revolved around that verbiage.
I mean, that's just brilliant, super creative, very brilliant. You feel like you're really coming into like this very unique, creative, just this personalized world in a way that you're creating, just almost reminds me like that, the whole Harry Potter became its own world, I mean? What you're doing is kind of creating its own world for young people and all this energy.
Yeah. We want to give them a space for it. So.
And then, so when the girls get to be, they kind of, get beyond 18, what happens to their products? What happens to them? Like, how do you help them kind of leave the system that they've lived in with you?
My guess is in the way it's worked, even through the markets, the live markets were, I could see as the girls became, 16, 17, and they're in high school and they're running these businesses and they're thinking about college or their next steps or right. It's a great thing to be involved in, especially, think about where it could lead in terms of what you major in, right? It could inspire so much. And yet I think there's going to be a natural cessation to, what? I've taken this journey with Treppy. This feels great. It's helped me do A, B, and C, right? I've learned to be a business owner in many ways. I've gained self-confidence. I know I can be independent. And it's a little bit, like they're on their way. I really feel like this is a stage. Treppy is a stage for them to learn to become business owners. And hopefully if I've done my job right, by the time they're 18, I set them free, right? Isn't that what we do with our children? So
that is awesome.
It's kind of that, right? And who knows what I'll create at that point for the next generation. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten that far, but
well, it sounds awesome. And you've given, all of us like an amazing, insight into your world of Treppy. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope everybody checks out Treppy, TREPPIE.com for introducing young people and buying gifts.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to My Wild Magic with me, your host, Adrienne Cobb. Each one of us has a soul purpose on this earth and a higher purpose full of creative expression and unique soul attributes. Make sure to tune in next week on transformationtalkradio.com to continue your journey home to your truest self and pursue the path of unconditional self-love. If you would like to learn more about me, visit mywildmagic.com. Again, that's mywildmagic.com.